Hey kids, this is Pillsbury Vision coming to you live from Ch23 Studios in my mom's basement with another reading. We're going to round out chapter 23, part 3. First one was like half hour, second one was like 15 minutes. This one, I'm guessing, is going to be probably another 10 minutes, depending on how quickly I read in real life. Let's jump into it. Last time we were here, we just went over them trying to storm and capture Marcus, Emily, the collective, and the Federation all ganging up and going to his site. His, I don't know if you call it like a office or a black site or just a secret office in LA, and him calling them on the phone and basically be like, whatever. So this is the continuation of it right here. And so let's jump right into it. Yoon had already moved to the other side of the lobby, speaking quietly into his own phone. The building's being worked, floor by floor, evidence teams going through rooms he had left prepared for them. He had known they were coming. He had left everything they would need. He'll surface before the hearing, Emily said. Yes, Salmi said. He was never going to run. Oh, he was never going to run. No? She thought about the proof from Panama in 200,000 people's hands. She thought about Rachel spending 15 years building something inside the machine's walls, using its blind spots, placing people in its joints. She thought about Ray in a park next to a fountain with a concrete heron, about Sami in a canvas jacket, a small wrench emblem stitched in dark thread above the left breast pocket, nearly invisible unless you knew to look. Okay, we do have to say chapter 23. How does Emily know about Ray in the park in Panama? Because it's a great montage visually, but I don't think she's been privy to that yet. So that would be 321. Okay. She thought about all the people who'd been choosing one at a time to build a different thing. She thought about Sharon somewhere above the atmosphere, on a ship she hadn't seen, looking at the same planet from the other side of it. There you are, -S. 4 words routed through the meridian, 90 minutes old by the time they arrived. The most precious thing anyone had said to her in months. What do we do now? Emily said. There's a flight to San Diego at 11. Sami looked at her. Your brother lands in 6 weeks, give or take the retrieval window. Emily looked at the street. 6 weeks felt, at this particular moment, like the right amount of time. Long enough to breathe, long enough to stop moving, and let the moving catch up with her. Long enough to sit somewhere quiet and think about all of it. The pier, the desert, the motel in Barstow, the 1,100 miles, the burner phone, the road atlas, the concrete heron listed east in a park in Panama. There it is again, 344. Concrete heron listing east in a park in Panama. Emily again. Question mark. Emily stood in the lobby of a building that was floor by floor, being taken apart quietly, properly, with the full weight of the evidence that had been building since Conrad's disappearance from a keynote in 2033. Okay, yeah, line 246 is too long. Snap it up. She had been close enough to it long enough to see the shape of it. Alpha Corp didn't destroy people carelessly. It found the best ones, the ones with the specific capability it needed, and it inverted them. Conrad built into someone who designed a system of control. Cole conscripted to fly a mission designed to end with him dying in it. Sharon turned into something that could survive without surviving. The shape was always the same. Find the exceptional, exploit the capability, discard or reprogram the ones that wouldn't break clean. She had watched it from close enough to smell it. She had not broken clean. She had broken differently. She thought, "You're stronger than you think." She thought, "I know. I know I am." She had not believed it yet when she had thought it in the gas station east of Indio. She had been working toward believing it. She believed it now. She picked up her bag. She walked through the lobby doors into the morning. Wow, that was not less reading than I thought it would be. I say we keep rolling, folks. I say we keep going into the next one. Let's do it. So it's chapter 3. We'll have to change the title for this playlist, but that's all right. Chapter 24. And then after this, I'll be doing a stream on the updates of agproject.io, Darker Matter, and the Fuel Cell NFTs. So here we go. Let's go down to chapter 24. Station Libre. Ooh, this ought to be a good one. There we go. Station Libre. Rings of Dust, chapter 24, Station Libre. Red left with the car 15 minutes after they walked out of the park. Panama City in the morning had its usual density. The market district doing its open business, carts, foot traffic, and the particular smell of oil at temperature. And somewhere east of them, a few blocks into streets Ray had learned the names of over a long time. Alpha had been moving in the other direction. Red didn't say this. She didn't have to. The particular quality of a person who moves with useful speed and doesn't look like he's moving with useful speed was something Ray had come to know. Okay, a couple of things here. Let's see, lines 9 through 15 are repeats of previous chapters. Oil smell and Ray's pace. There we go. They were in a car within 10 minutes, gray sedan, local plates. A driver Ray hadn't been introduced to and didn't need to be. Jill had been the transit case. She had set it on the seat between them and rested her hand on it with the ease of something carried a long way already. Not nervous, not ceremonial. Her notebook was on her lap. She was looking out the window at Panama City as it passed. Ray looked at it too. He had learned this city the way you learn a place you are careful in, not as a resident, not exactly as a stranger, but as someone who had learned which corners were visible from which windows, which routes were efficient for a contractor who belonged here versus a man who was watching the place. He had walked these streets long enough that it had changed his gait. He would need to unlearn that. The glass towers went by. The park went by. A green shape between the buildings. It might have been the Heron Fountain already behind them. The city thinned to highway, highway to road, road to nothing. Red was in the passenger seat on her phone, saying numbers in a low voice. When she hung up, she turned. 2 hours to pick up. She looked at Ray. The station has new equipment. Jill's shipment came in 3 weeks ago. Jill was still looking out the window. They've been waiting for you specifically, Red said. Then they'll be ready when I arrive, she said. Ray looked at Ray. Ray had no addition to make. He looked at the transit case. Where does it come from, the source material? Jill looked at the case too, the same way you look at something you've been carrying long enough that it has become unremarkable. She looked back out the window. An asteroid about 3 kilometers across, she said. Spent 30 years as a soap manufacturing outpost. Industrial scale. They were supplying cleaning product supply chains for the inner stations. Then it became something else. She was quiet for a moment. It makes fuel cells now. It sends them into a gravitational void and gets gold back. Ray sat with this. A soap factory, he said. Not anymore. The highway opened up. The last of Panama City fell behind them, and ahead was nothing but distance and collective transport, running on a schedule that did not appear on any manifest. Okay, that's a such a lame 64 and 65. 64 and 65 need a more comedic beat. Ray has just been told something completely absurd. All right. I like the not anymore. That's funny. Ray had been told you'll feel it. He hadn't been told what it meant. He found out at T plus 4 minutes when the orbital transfer burn pushed him sideways into the harness at 2.5 Gs and held him there for 40 seconds while his vision tunneled and the contents of his stomach expressed strong opinions about the situation. Then it stopped. The ship coasted. He opened his eyes on a window that showed him the curve of the Earth from below orbit, lit white and blue, the terminal line bisecting the Pacific in a slow diagonal, and felt the unmistakable feeling of being somewhere he had absolutely no business being. Jill was in the harness 2 seats forward. She had her notebook open in her lap. She was looking out the window with the expression of someone running new data through existing models. First time, the woman next to him said. Her name was Yale. She'd been doing this run for 2 years. She handed him a bag without being asked. He didn't need it. He thought about needing it. He took the bag anyway. Gets easier, she said. Third time, you don't even brace. What's the second time like? Worse, she said, because you know it's coming. The station had a name that the collective used internally, Station Libre, though Ray never heard anyone say the full name. They said the station, or after a few weeks, nothing at all, because there was only one place you could be sane. It was built in 3 modules connected by pressurized corridors that were wide enough for one person, which meant that 2 people passing each other had to do a sideways shuffle that everyone had a version of and nobody liked. The common module was the chow hall. The science module had been converted into labs. The residential module had 12 berths and a shared bathroom arrangement that had required over the course of several years the development of a detailed social contract. Ray had been given a berth and a lab bench and told that his access to the dark matter cache was conditional on a 2-week orientation period. He spent the 2 weeks learning the station's rhythms, the shift schedule, the hot water queue, the specific drawer in the kitchen where the good coffee was kept, and the separate drawer where the bad coffee was kept in case of emergencies, and observing the people who'd been here longer. There were 11 of them, scientists mostly, 1 communications technician, 1 person whose role Ray was never able to clearly identify, but who seemed to fix things when they broke, which they did with the unhurried regularity of things that lived at pressure differential. Okay, that one, line 289 is too long. Should be 2 sentences. And then also, from this whole part right here about Ray, 109 to 128 to 131, Jill doesn't exist. Needs to be included. One of the first improvements she would make to station is more bathrooms and real food. Jill was not on the 2-week restriction. She had come up with a crate of upgraded equipment, the colony's gold windfall surplus converted into resonance scanners, precision instruments, and 3 replacement pressure seals that the station had needed for a year and a half. Before Ray had finished his second day of orientation, she had reorganized the lab bench layout, taught the communications technician how to calibrate the new scanner, and established an understanding with the person Ray couldn't classify about the pressure seal installation sequence. The 11 people who had been here longer were, by the end of the first week, differential to her in ways they were not differential to Ray. He did not find this surprising. Jill brought the colony's hospitality to Station Libre the same way the colony had given it to her, without announcing it, without making it about herself, just putting something on the table and letting people eat. The first morning, she cooked for the station crew actual food. Okay, well, scratch that out. Real food. Grown and prepared in a facility that had been running on ration blocks for 3 years. The silence at the table was the silence of people remembering what meals used to be. She did not explain it. She just set the plates down. Okay, well, you don't have to say she did not explain it the second time. So 146. She did not explain it. Redundant. Ray noticed. You could tell a lot about a person by what they fixed first when they had the resources to fix anything. Jill had fixed the food before she fixed the lab. But she fixed the lab too, and then the corridor sills, and then the water recycler, which had been running at 60% for months because nobody had the parts. Jill had the parts. She had brought them from a colony that had spent years learning to make do. And the making do had taught her exactly which things broke first and what you need to unbreak them. Well, she didn't like grow up on the colony. So she'd spent years. Well, yeah, the colony spent years learning to make do, but she didn't. That's dumb. 150. She didn't spend years on the colony. And if she did, she wouldn't have to learn to make do because she's willing to spend gold. All right. She spent the colony's gold the way someone spends money who has never had it and knows exactly what it's for. Not carefully, not recklessly, but with the specific joy of a person putting right the things that should have never been wrong. By week 2, I like the 151 has nothing there. By week 2, the station had actual coffee in both drawers. Oh, better pressure readings in all 3 modules, a resonance scanner that didn't need to be recalibrated every 6 hours, and emergency ration blocks that were still there, but nobody was eating them anymore. Ray watched her work and felt something he did not have a name for, settling into the space between them. It was not romantic in a way stories made romance. No dramatic recognition, no single moment of clarity. It was more like she was competent in ways that made him want to be in the room, and he was competent in ways that kept her coming back to his bench, and the distance between their stations got shorter every week without either of them deciding it should. I think it got, let's change that, end of 154. Without either of them noticing. That one, that's more romantic, I think. Instead of deciding. It should. The introduction in Panama had not been comfortable. Two strangers in a transit house with Alpha's people in the streets outside, which each carrying years of work they had never been able to share with anyone. What established quickly, they both understood what the notebooks meant. They both knew what Station Libre required, and neither of them was waiting for permission. The attraction developed during the station mission. Shared craziness, shared work, the charged chemistry of two people who have both spent years carrying something and can finally set it down with someone else in the room. 157, there's just nothing there. 158, the colony had been one of the collective's primary financial backers for 7 years. Relay infrastructure, safe houses and 3 transit routes, 2 Meridian resupply runs, and now Station Libre, the equipment Jill had just carried up in a crate. Jill had not known this when she first landed on the asteroid. She had been home for 2 years before anyone told her what home had been funding. She had been home for 2? No, she wasn't. She wasn't home, you dumbass. 158. Jill wasn't home for 2 years. She visited the colony twice for less than a month. Before anyone told her what home had been funding. The collective had been operating, in part, on money the colony had generated before she arrived, before she was part of it, before she knew there was an it to be part of. No, she knew that it funded the collective before or while she was there. They were, without exception, at least in a way, at ease in a way he hadn't seen people at ease before. The station produced it. The enforced smallness of the space, the distance from everything else, the shared project. They had arguments about small things and agreements about large ones. They ate dinner together because the table only sat 12 and it was efficient. Okay, that doesn't work, actually. 164. It would have to seat 13, 11 former members, and Ray and Jill. When Rachel visits, there should be a funny scene where Ray gives up his seat to Rachel and awkwardly tries to act casual. Where would it be trying? Not in the doorway, against the wall before finally sitting on Jill's lap. Perfect. In the third week, someone brought out the bottle. The game was called Whiskey Slap, which was a straightforward name for a straightforward game. You spun the bottle on the table, a proper glass bottle. No, you didn't. Well, I mean, I guess you would. No, you wouldn't, because at 171. So 171, this is played in zero gravity. No table. A proper glass bottle transported up at some point for precisely this purpose, now empty and serving its second career as a sporting equipment. Whoever it pointed to took a shot of whiskey and got slapped by the spinner. Not hard. Hard enough. The whiskey came from a different bottle. Why the slap? Ray asked the first time they played. Because in low G, Yell said, the burn takes longer to hit. Slap helps. They were approximately a third of Earth's gravity, and the slap hit at roughly the same time as the whiskey. Ray lost twice his first round. He took the first shot from Yell and received a slap, open palm, measured professional. She'd done this before. The bottle spun again. It pointed at Ray. Jill was a spinner. She took the shot glass from Yell, filled it, handed it to him. Well, I guess there would be a shot glass either. So we're going to go none. 193. There wouldn't be a shot glass. Zero gravity, which I guess is also needs to be changed on line third of the gravity in 184. Zero gravity. And handed it to him. Her fingers touched on the glass. She watched him drink it, not looking away, not performing anything, just watching with the steady attention she brought to everything she did. Then she slapped him, open palm, left side, precise and not gentle. His head turned with it. The sound was louder than it needed to be in the small module. When he turned his head back, she was looking at him with an expression he hadn't seen before. Not apologetic, not playful. Something closer to, now you know what my hand feels like. The moment held for a beat longer than the game required. Someone at the table said something, neither of them heard it. Welcome to the station, Jill said. Her voice was steady, but her eyes hadn't moved from his. Thank you, Ray said, meaning it and not because of the whiskey. The game continued. Ray's face burned on the left side for 20 minutes. He didn't mind. He found the flywheel in month 6. It was not a discovery in the sense he'd been trained to think of a discovery. The sudden illumination, the dramatic notation in the lab book, it was more like he'd been running the standard protocol. And it was day 11, the morning the resonance and the casting went quiet and the sync completed, that he made the first discovery the station made possible. So let's go back here. He found the flywheel in month 6. Well, we have a very specific date in the game about this. So we'll say 211, month 6 should be day 180. Yeah, it's possible. He'd scanned all 740 casings. Routine post-sync check. He was at cell 304 when he stopped. Cell 304 had something on the outside. Not internal growth, exterior. A mass of darker metal crystals on the outside surface of the casing. Larger than anything he had pulled from a single unit at Alpha. Also, this sentence right here that starts in 214 and ends it ends in 217. too long. Make shorter or 2 sentences. There we go. If I had Claude usage, I would just be saying this into the microphone. He had been scanning all. Okay, yeah, he stopped. Yeah, larger than anything he had pulled from a single unit at Alpha. He measured it. He measured it again. He finished scanning the rest of the grid. The other 739 cells had nothing on the outside. He went and got Jill. She was in the common module, placing the air filtration gaskets, replacing the air filtration gaskets, another item from the crate, another thing the station had needed and learned to live without. She had grease on her hands, and one of the colony workers' scarves tied back over her hair. She looked at his face and put the gasket down. Show me, she said. Jill looked at the cell 304. She looked at the other 739. She opened Elsa's notebook, the third volume, the one with the cloth cover worn thin in the spine, and turned to a page she had marked with a strip of pressure tape. She held the notebook next to the scanner readout. The numbers matched. 1 out of 740, she said. Elsa called it the jackpot yield. Page 212, she tapped the notebook entry. Elsa's handwriting, small and precise. 40 years old. She predicted the ratio. She predicted the magnitude. She just never had 740 cells to test it on. Okay, we're going to stop here at line 243. And yeah, that's going to be, oh goodness. That is going to be chapter 23, part 3, and chapter 24, part 1. All right, cool. Back here. There we go. All right, so I hope you guys are enjoying these readings. This is all on one playlist on YouTube. It's pretty easy to find. You can also find the playlist link on our Telegram, t.me/anti-gravity saga. Visit agproject.io, wherever it is down here, and connect your wallet and play the game with us. It is a game of scarcity and strategy and fun. It's a front end that we put a lot of love and energy into, and that we're going to continue to improve, make better, and simpler. And it's been fun hanging out with you guys, and we'll catch you on the next one. Ciao.